everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I like to talk about books, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in the month of June. I did not read many books in the month of June. I, in fact, only read 4 books in the month of June. It was a very slow reading month this month, and that is because I had a lot happening in my personal life. We ended up making a pretty big move, 7 hours from North Carolina up to Philadelphia here in Pennsylvania. So that was a lot of packing and stress of moving and unpacking and getting to know the area and finding our grocery stores and just all the normal things with moving. And it is just a very different lifestyle here. We are walking distance, we're very much in the city, very different from how we lived previously. So it has just been an adjustment period. It's been a long month. It was a little rough. We had visitors though, so that was fun and busy, and it's just been a crazy time. So I decided, since I didn't read a ton in June, I'm not gonna have a ton to talk about, I did want to just show you a glimpse of what my month was like, some of the things I was doing, with how busy I've been and all the activities I've been doing, and I've been just capturing some of those experiences so that I can remember them from this very volatile time in my life. So if you're interested in getting a glimpse of that, you can watch the montage that is soon to follow. If not, you can just skip to the book talk. So yeah, that was what my month looked like. We've just been exploring, finding bookstores, finding lots of good food to eat, doing all of the local touristy activities, getting to know our area. It's been a lot of fun, but it's also been exhausting, and it's kind of nice to just be settled back in now. Back to normal life, back to normal routines, back to reading a ton, because I'm getting ready to be reading so much in July. I'm so excited for it. But anyway, now we can talk about the books that I read in June. So the first book I read in June was one of my most anticipated books of the entire year, and that was One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is a sci-fi romance story about a girl named August who moves to New York City. She doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. She's just kind of wandering. She ends up with these roommates. They're very quirky characters, lots of fun themselves. And then she ends up running into this girl on the subway named Jane, who she just becomes enamored with. She's very beautiful, very mysterious, and she just really lures August in. And it turns out that Jane is actually misplaced through time. She's actually from the 1970s, and somehow she has gotten stuck in this like time loop thing where she's been stuck on the subway since the 1970s, and it's present day now. And so August forms a relationship with Jane, trying to figure out the mystery of why she's stuck on the subway and how she could potentially get off, and if she did, then what that would mean. Meanwhile, August is just trying to figure out her own self and her life and what she's doing. She's like the epitome of being a 23-year-old who has no idea what they're doing in life. And yeah, of course, they fall in love along the way. So I was really anticipating this book. I thought it sounded right up my alley. I really liked things that play with time, and so I thought that aspect was going to be very interesting. And I really, really loved Red, White, and Royal Blue, which was Casey McQuiston's first book. It came out a couple years ago, and that is like one of my all-time favorite books. So I really was expecting this to like be the best book I read this year. Thought it was going to be a 5-star, had really high expectations for it, and it didn't necessarily live up to those expectations. I think I just like blew it up in my head that it was going to be this like mind-blowing best book I've ever read. Like nothing will be better than this, and there's like no way anything was ever going to live up to those expectations. So I'm kind of curious if I were to read this again, knowing what I know about the story, if I would enjoy it more revisiting the characters a second time with lowered expectations about the scope of the story. But all in all, I liked the characters, I liked the premise, I liked where the story went. There's like a found family aspect to this, similar to how there was in Red, White, and Royal Blue, with all the friends that end up coming into the fold as well. The complaints that I had about this story that kind of held me back from a full 5-star rating, one of them was just like a lack of really high stakes, keeping me really involved in the story and motivated throughout the story. It just didn't feel like the stakes were super high, and there wasn't a ton happening. It's a pretty long book, it's like 400-ish pages, and there wasn't a ton happening moving the plot forward in the very long stretch of time that August and Jane are developing a relationship on the subway where they're both just pining over each other secretly but not letting their emotions really show, and trying to figure out why Jane's stuck on the subway and trying to figure out things about Jane's past and like help her remember things about who she is, because she also doesn't remember anything about who she is or where she's from. I just wanted like more to be happening. I wasn't super like hooked into the story. It was kind of dragging at parts for me, and I was ready to get moving on to other things to answer some of these mysteries and questions. So maybe if it was a bit shorter, I would have enjoyed it more. But yeah, it definitely wasn't a bad book. I would give it like 3 stars. It was a good time. I think I would like it on a reread more than I did the first time. But yeah, that was one last stop. The next book I read was quite a bit outside of my comfort zone, and that is In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. This is a fantasy story. I don't know if it's adult or young adult, and even from reading the story, I don't really know what I would say. I guess I would say it's adult probably, because it has darker themes for sure. But this is a story about a blood mage, and there's magic systems, there are blood mages, there's death magic, we're in the underworld for a bit, there's dark spirit things. Like, it's very dark and spooky fantasy story with romance. So it sounded like it was gonna be pretty good. I like dark, spooky. I'm getting into fantasy. I like romance. But ultimately, I didn't love this. I would probably give it like a 2.5, like middle of the road for me. It just didn't do a ton for me. Basically what's going on in this story, you're following this main character, Rovan, who has magic abilities, but in this world, if you have magic, or if you're a blood mage specifically, they end up warding you to a spirit for some reason, and this girl doesn't want that to happen. Her family's kind of hidden her magic abilities and protected her from that all her life. In the beginning of the story, her father gets killed for like hiding his magic, so you just know stakes are high. She's not supposed to have magic, or she doesn't want people to know she has magic and she's trying to hide it. And then it ends up getting revealed. She accidentally reveals her magic one day and then gets pulled into this like royal palace. And when she goes there, she starts learning some things. She starts learning some secrets about her personal life and about the world and the systems, and it's not good. And then she ends up being drawn to these 2 different characters. One of them is a princess who's also a bit of a rebel herself. And then the other one is the spirit guy who ends up being like her ward, that gets warded to her guardian, I guess you would say. And then she starts developing feelings for both of them, sort of, but she also doesn't know if she can trust either of them or really anyone that's around her. And she is navigating the society and basically trying to take it down after she finds out bad things going on. So it was okay. It was an okay story. I definitely see why people would like this. I think it just wasn't really up my alley entirely. I don't know. I'm just trying to find my niche in fantasy. I'm getting started with it. I'm trying to figure out what I like in fantasy and what I maybe don't like as much. So it's hard for me to tell exactly when I'm not enjoying the story, why that is. But with this story, I just mostly didn't really connect to the characters or care about the characters a lot. And I thought the relationships and the feelings developed between the main character and her guardian and that princess just felt really empty to me. I wasn't feeling passionate about either of their relationships, and it felt very insta-lovey when it gets to the love stage of this. So I couldn't really get fully immersed in the story and fully gripped. I was just kind of like pushing my way through it, just trying to get to the end to see what happens. But I will say this book, I give it major props for where it goes in the end, because it is wild. It takes a wild turn. It really, like, the author took some risks in this ending and really went there, and I really appreciated that. I thought the ending was nice. I thought it was good. Like, I really liked how far it went and how bold of an ending that it was, so that alone boosted it up in my book. Yeah, at the end of the day though, probably like a 2.5, 3 stars. Just not really my thing. I can see why people would like it, but it just didn't do it for me. Next up, I read a book from an author that I have loved in the past, and I was excited to read more from this author, and that is You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno. The other books I have read from Katrina Leno are Summer of Salt and Horrid, and I really liked both of those, and so I was excited to check this one out as well. It's not the only other book remaining from this author that I haven't read. They have a couple other books in their backlist, but I think this is as far back as I'm gonna go, and then just read any other new books that come up from Katrina Leno, because the other books in her backlist don't really interest me as much. They're a little more YA, and I just don't think they're really gonna be my thing. But anyway, You Must Not Miss. I was excited to read this one because I've liked the other Katrina Leno books that I read, and this one did not disappoint. It was pretty good. Pretty good. So this is a story about this girl named Magpie, who is a sophomore in high school, and she is going through it. She has recently discovered her father was cheating on her mother with her aunt by walking in on them. It was a terrible moment for her. She has an ex-best friend who she has had a falling out with for a particular reason relating to a boy and a party that happened, and you don't know the full story as the book begins. Her older sister has just sort of up and left her to deal with her alcoholic mom on her own, and her mom is just like spiraling into alcoholism and depression since her father has left. So she is kind of stuck raising herself, and she's having a hard time in school. She's not doing her homework, and she's starting to get in danger of failing the grade, having to do summer school, etc., etc. And so Magpie turns to a world called Near. She lives in a town called Farther in the book, and so she creates an imaginary world in like a notebook, writing about it, called Near. It's a little play on words, and escapes into that world to get away from the reality that she is dealing with. And then it becomes quite literal. She literally ends up going through a doorway and ends up in this world that she has created, where she has the ability to manipulate anything that she wants, and she ultimately uses that imaginary landscape as her place to enact revenge on those who have hurt her. So that's kind of the overarching summary of the book. It's the synopsis and the summary that's like pretty encompassing of the story without revealing specific spoilers. I will say, I kind of wish that the book was not marketed and described as a revenge story. It says it up here, imagine the perfect revenge, and it's part of the synopsis as well that she can do anything she wants there, even get her revenge. So I think maybe if you would have left that out of the synopsis, that would have come as more of a surprise and more of a journey to get there, and then could have been more of a reveal, because with that element, you kind of know where the book's gonna go the whole time. Not exactly, but you know it's leading up to her trying to find her revenge. But all in all, I really enjoyed this story. I really liked the blend of YA contemporary, fantasy, dark, horror, speculative, surrealism elements that all blend together in this book. It very much gave me Donnie Darko vibes, which it's been a while since I've seen that film, but it reminded me of Donnie Darko a lot. So if you like weird, stuff like that, then I think you would like this. My only critique of the book is I just wish it would have gotten weirder. Like, I wish it would have really went there. A large majority of the book is very YA contemporary tone and sound, which is so fine. It's just not my thing. My preference is more the dark, surreal, weird side of things, which we know Katrina Leno does very well. We got to see more of that in Horrid, and I hope she continues down that path of really just embracing the weird, dark stuff, because it's so good. So yeah, all in all, I would give this book like a 4-star rating. It was very good, nice little coming of age, dark, spiraling kind of thing, but I just wish it would have gotten even weirder and really gone down that rabbit hole, because oh my gosh, it's just so good. I just love Katrina Leno's writing style and her ideas. I just need more from her. So good. And then the last book I read in the month of June, which I'm technically still reading and I'm gonna finish tonight because I have like 50 pages left, is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I'm gonna try to make this quick because it's getting very dark outside because it's about to have a severe thunderstorm outside, and I have an entire reading vlog dedicated to reading this book. So you're gonna be able to see a lot more of my thoughts on this very, very soon. So I'll keep this brief, but this is obviously very outside of my comfort zone, very different from what I typically read. I wanted to go out on a limb and try it. I did a buddy read with my friend Hannah from Hannah's Recent Reads, and we both hated this book. We think it's incredibly overhyped. She gave it 2 stars. I haven't given an official rating yet because, like I said, I have 50 pages left, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 2-star book for me as well. We don't get it. We don't see what the hype's all about. I don't know. It just is so slow and so boring. But like I said, I'm gonna have more info on this very soon when I release my reading vlog, so you can look out for that if you're interested to hear my full thoughts about The Priory of the Orange Tree. So that is it for all the books that I read in the month of June. Like I said, short month, not a lot of reading, didn't get a lot in there, but I'm really looking forward to picking it up in July, starting with Summerween, which starts tomorrow, and I'm so excited. At least tomorrow for me. I don't know when you're gonna be seeing this wrap-up video, depending on how quickly I edit, but anyway, I'm just very excited for July's reading. Comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these books and what you think, and also just let me know, what did you read in June? What was your favorite book? Did you have a way better reading month than I did? Because I imagine it could only be better than mine, considering I hardly read anything and I didn't really like many of the books that I read. But here's to hoping for a better July. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!